everyone. I'm Shui Min, Vice President of the Singapore Computer Society IoT chapter. I'm also the Deputy Chief IT Officer from the National University of Singapore. Today, I have with me a young gentleman from our IoT chapter committee. He's Kok Siang. Hi, Kok Siang. Can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Hi, everyone. This is Kok Siang. I'm part of the IoT chapter Exco for year 2020. And very honored to be here to share with you some of my learning journey recently. And of course, some of the work-wise experience that I had in the past. All right.
Thank you, Kok Siang. I understand that recently you have picked up a new skill set whose name is associated with a snake. Can you tell us what you have learned recently?
All right. The course itself is actually the Python programming courses, all right, in one of the local training center. It was actually quite a fruitful 2 days training, and the syllabus, I would say, is focusing on how we use the tools, how we set up the environment to let us start the projects, and also some of the hands-on experience, which I find very useful because how the course structured in a way that they link it to a lot of real-life experience and scenarios. So it helped us to relate, like, after I learned this particular functions or programming skill, how do I apply in our real life or even work example? Yeah.
Okay. Right. Did you encounter any challenges while learning, and how do you overcome these challenges?
Oh yeah, definitely there's a lot of challenges because I've started work for about 10 years, all right? And all along I would say networking and infrastructure trained person. Although I do have some programming skill back in school, all right, 10 years ago, but I would say those definitely are quite basic and may not be so relevant in today's world anymore. So I would say the key challenges is how to get the programming or programmer mindset started again when picking up the skill. And I have to probably also forget what I have learned, especially on the syntax part, because when you talk about learning a new programming language, it is like, you know, today you are learning Mandarin, tomorrow you are learning English, you have to maybe forget all the vocabulary or all the grammars that you learned in the past, and then you have to start yourself fresh again. So I would say that is the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah. I see. Okay. So did you know any other programming languages beforehand, or?
I do, all right. I learned the Visual Basics in school.
I see.
And
okay.
I also picked up some of the server programming like Java, HTML, you know, whether it's a server end and also the front end for the user interface. Yeah.
So you find that you have to kind of readapt while you're learning Python.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So after attending the course, how have you applied what you have learned?
So far, before joining the course, my thinking process was I had been in the infra world for many years. All right. So by learning the other part of the languages, which help me on the analytic part, which will help me to kind of manipulate what are the data collected and also providing into insight. So the next step I would say is to relook at all the works that I'm doing today or the project work that I'm doing today and see how do I apply the skill that I learned, all right, to enhance what I can deliver. Because in the past, we may just knowing one side of the story, like, okay, how this infrastructure being set up, how the IoT sensors able to help in collecting the data. But on the other side is after this data has been collected, how you turn this into insight and maybe help the customer to better decide what kind of information or decision they need. Yeah, so that would be my, I would say, immediate next steps.
That's great.
Yeah.
So having conquered Python, what will be next in your learning journey?
I actually having a, I would say, mini training roadmap for myself.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so again, I mean, being an infra guy for so many years, I think it's time for me to expand my skill to look at the other domain other than IoT. All right, so I have been exposed to IoT only on the hardware side, but I realized that when we are in depth into all the hardware setup, which is good, but it will be able to even value add if we start to know a little bit more about cloud, how this API work together. So I would say it is also related to IoT, because when we talk about IoT, well, it have a lot of interfaces, protocol that are being used. So like I said, knowing the other part, whether it's in those layers sitting in the middle, like cloud, the API, how does it pass the information over, that will be my next step. So if you can see IoT followed by the analytic programming language, then the cloud API. So it's, to me, I call it a end-to-end solution, if I were to call it, so that I can see how eventually this data being collected turn into something that the customer eventually will see in the front. Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, just before we end this session, what advice would you give our viewers out there who want to pick up new IT skill sets, just like you?
Well, I think setting up a clear goal and also practical goal is a key. When I say practical is, of course, if you ask me, hey, Kok Siang, are you going to be a Python guru after taking this training? Of course, I think, to me, in my opinion, it may not be that fast, all right? Maybe one day I'll get there, but not so soon. So I think having a clear goal, like what do you want to achieve? Well, you can derive from a short-term, mid-term, or even long-term perspective. That will help you to pace yourself and steward yourself toward the end destination that you want to be. And I think being in an IT world or even a career life, learning is I would say, endless mission for us. All right. And also for those of you who have been in the working life for, I would say, a couple of years, don't let your past experience or skill be your burden. That's my take for myself, because like I say, I mean, I'm an IoT person, but knowing a little bit more is always good, because I strongly believe that the chances is always reserved for somebody that's well prepared. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kok Siang, for your sharing.
No problem.
And I wish you the best in your Python IoT adventure.
Thank you
I'm sure
very
you'll
much.
be creating lots of cool apps in the future.
I will, and I hope that I got an opportunity to share again next time.
Okay, wonderful.
All right.
So to all of you out there, thanks for watching, and we hope this session brought to you by the Singapore Computer Society IoT chapter will be useful to you. If you want to know more about IoT or stay up to date about this exciting technology, do join us in the SCS IoT chapter. Thank you and have a great one. Bye.
Everyone, bye-bye.